In this video, we're going to be talking about UK and US apps that are at your disposal. I think you really need to pay attention to what you're being charged for when you're considering different apps and solutions because it can get really out of hand. We're going to talk about app overviews, what investing is, basics of investing vocabulary, and so much more. Stick around. Hi guys, welcome back to my Pink Money series on Wander Onwards. Just as corporations rebrand seemingly mundane objects into pink, women-friendly things, I've created a money series with a pink border and with feminine colors, so women know it's for them. This week we're going to be discussing investing apps. So what do I mean by investing app? Well, not every brokerage. Investment brokerages sometimes build apps to be more enticing and to be more cool with the hip with the cool kids. They want young people on their apps. So that's why they build it for us. Technology trends show that our generation is moving towards a phone-only sort of existence and universe. So people are trying to capture our business and our money by making apps more friendly to the user. In this video, we're going to be talking about UK and US apps that are at your disposal, especially for beginners. I find that people who don't know much about investing are always so eager to jump in and get investing and spend money, but they don't really understand what their long-term strategy is or what works for them. Now, there's a lot of apps out there that are flashy and sexy and advertise Bitcoin and day trading for people who don't necessarily need to be doing that. If you're a normal investor and you're not trying to day trade because you have a full-time job or immediate responsibilities, these apps are not going to be as helpful for you as they might advertise. Also, there's loads of hidden fees, lackluster customer service, and information that leads the investor to believe something that is not necessarily true. As a millennial, I pretty much do 90% of my life on my phone. I expect things to be done pretty quickly. I summon objects, I summon food, I can even summon people on my app. And that's what makes this whole app culture so addicting. Research shows that consumers of the millennial generation are completely dependent on their phones. And so when you're building a product designed to target millennials, you want to focus on apps. That's why we're featuring investment apps today in this episode. Because honestly, the idea of going on my desktop and trading old school, that terrifies me. I don't want anything to do with it. Instead, I want an easy to understand option where my portfolio is laid out in front of me and a platform that I can do my own research on. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and why don't you hit that subscribe button while you're at it. Now, before I jump into the apps, I want to make sure that you understand some investment vocabulary first. Let's talk about a fund. Now, a fund is a pot of money that is managed by a separate party, and you just continuously put money into that fund to be managed. Now, on an investment app, you typically pay a percentage of the money that you have in that pot in order for someone to manage it. For me, I buy Vanguard index funds, and I know in my mind that I pay a set flat percentage fee. There's no fees for me to buy into that fund. 3, I have the confidence of knowing that Vanguard has a long investment history filled with profits, and hopefully that will continue for me. A fund would be mutual funds, pensions, 401ks, ETFs. A fund is anything where you're not buying a specific security that is dedicated to a very specific company, and instead you get a little bit of everything from the market. Next we have a stock, and this is probably the more popular vocabulary term that maybe not everyone understands. Now, a stock is a thing or a security that entitles you to a small fraction of a company. If you're a stock owner, then that entitles you to the company's assets and dividends. I'm sure everyone has heard of Amazon stocks or Tesla stocks, and this is what people are talking about. Next, we have an ETF, which is an exchange-traded fund. Similar to the fund that we were originally talking about, an ETF is this new sexy thing that people are really starting to get excited about because they're trading in real time, it doesn't cost that much to get involved, and it allows you to passively invest without having to worry about what the stock market is doing. In an ETF, you can buy stocks, CDs, bonds, commodities. Really, the sky is the limit. So I would definitely do some investigating about what sort of ETFs are out there. The reason people love ETFs so much is because they're kind of similar to funds where you have a diverse market that you spread across, but you get to trade them like stocks, so really fast and quick and Wall Street-like. Yeah. Now, before you start pouring your hard-earned money into an investment app, you really have to do your research about fees, transactions and trading costs, maintenance, what sort of things you can buy on this platform, and also what sort of customer service there is. For example, everyone is talking about the new hot sensation, Robinhood. But if you really look behind their zero commission trading, you'll see that they make their money up in a different way. So if you take a look at Robinhood's T's and C's, you're going to notice a lot of fees that are along the user journey that they kind of left out. First of all, they pass on specific regulatory fees to the customer, and they charge you for additional services and even customer support. For me, it's just not worth it. I would be much more comfortable with a comprehensive maintenance fee and really supportive service in exchange for the confidence of knowing that my money is all right. The types of fees that you're going to want to look out for on investing apps are maintenance fees, trading fees, customer service fees, regulatory fees, annual fees, and so much more. Honestly, it's kind of a landmine out there, but if you find a consistent investment platform that has a history of good customer service, I think it's worth the money. Okay, let's get into the fun stuff. Now, the 3 apps that I would recommend for investing are as follows: Vanguard, Fidelity, and Hargreaves Landsdown. Now, not all 3 of these are available in America, but all 3 of them are available in the United Kingdom. I'm going to break down why each of these platforms are special, and then we're going to talk about why some of the more popular, hip, and trendy apps did not make this list. First of all, Vanguard, as I said before, is my #1 option for my own personal investments. After a lot of research and also reading about the financial journey of financial experts, I've come to the decision that my confidence in Vanguard is quite high. For that reason, I buy their index fund, which focuses on the S&P 500, and I buy their FTSE fund, which focuses on the UK. There are limitations about what you can buy, but their low fee cost actually makes up for that in my mind. Next, we have Fidelity. Now, I don't actually use Fidelity myself, but this has been recommended by multiple financial wellness experts to me and for my American followers. When I Googled and researched Fidelity a little bit more closely, I've noticed that they've had a long history of very transparent business practices, at least for being a bank. Banks are shady, no matter what anyone tells you. For Fidelity specifically, there's a wide range of options that you have for purchasing stocks, funds, and ETFs. So this gives you a lot of flexibility. Also, they have really comprehensive charting and a great amount of research at your disposal, so you're able to make the right decisions for yourself. Something that I love about Vanguard and Fidelity is they don't push you to be a day trader in their marketing. That is a huge red sign to me. Most normal people don't have time to be watching the markets fluctuate while they're working full time and taking care of a family. Any platform that encourages you to day trade in the sexy Bitcoin industry or commodities should be reprimanded. This is an easy way to dupe normal investors like us into spending loads of money in trading fees, things we don't really understand, and the next best thing. For Fidelity specifically, they actually have 0 commission fees when it comes to ETFs. So Robinhood's 0% commission business model is not as unique as it might sound. Finally, let's talk about Hargreaves Landsdown. Now, this is actually my personal broker. I have been using them for the last 2 years, and this is actually where I invest my ISA allowance every year. Now, the reason I went with Hargreaves Landsdown is because they had a 0.45% management fee for the particular funds that I was interested in. I wanted the flexibility to buy other funds and potentially stocks without committing to Vanguard specifically. For me, on Hargreaves Landsdown, there are no fees when it comes to purchasing funds, so this is how I'm able to save money on my investment journey. I think you really need to pay attention to what you're being charged for when you're considering different apps and solutions, because it can get really out of hand. Also, it's worth noting that on Hargreaves Landsdown, you can buy ready-made portfolios, so you don't really have to think so much about what you're doing. So when you think about apps that are good for beginners, a lot of people think about the sexy and cool apps that have the great marketing. When I'm thinking about what a beginner actually needs in their financial journey, it's not going to be immediate transactions, complicated graphs that don't really mean anything to them. First of all, it's important for beginners to have a safe space to make mistakes. When I first started, I definitely made some trades that didn't necessarily need to happen. And as a result, I spent money on maintenance fees, I spent money on trading fees, and I genuinely had to learn for myself what the impact of those fees were on my profits. Also, I find that these sexy apps tend to push things that don't really make a lot of sense, such as pre-organized portfolios that are stuffed with corporate bonds, government bonds, and genuinely low-performing options. Secondly, flexibility. I find that these really popular platforms that are marketed as investing for beginners, they don't really give beginners a lot of options about what they can purchase. A lot of these platforms have set funds that you can buy into based off of how comfortable you are with risk. But with the coronavirus, people started to figure out that these funds were not performing, and when they tried to remove their money, they found that there was only like 4 or 5 other investment funds that they could put their money in. When you're on a more professional app with a long-standing history of investment flexibility, you have a lot more options at your disposal for when you need to readjust your portfolio. Instead of counting on these platforms to tell you what you should do based off of your risk comfort, you should really be doing your own research and understanding how things like index funds or ETFs are a really good way for beginners to invest across the market in order to hedge your bets. So I hope that wasn't too confusing. I know if you're just new to this investment journey, it might be a little bit overwhelming, but definitely take advantage of Vanguard, Fidelity's, and Hargreaves Lansdown's customer support options. Now, these platforms actually have people dedicated to talk you through your options, to explain to you for the 10th time about what an index fund is. So make sure you take advantage of that support. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and why don't you hit that subscribe button while you're at it. It really supports me, my channel, and it ensures that I continue making great content like this, because people are watching. If you have any questions about investing or want to know more about the apps that I've suggested, leave a comment down below. If anything was particularly confusing, don't hesitate to DM me on Instagram at WanderOnwards to ask me more questions. Bye! Thanks for watching. If you liked that video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to get notified about new videos every week.